Hello and welcome to the debut episode of the speaker series presented by Entrepreneurs Forum, your weekly destination for enriching insights and dynamic conversations with industry experts. Join us every Thursday as we delve into the world of business and innovation through this exclusive online series hosted on Zoom. Our forum is designed to be an outlet for professionals and enthusiasts alike, providing a unique opportunity to learn from guest experts who are leaders in their respective fields. Each session is carefully curated to bring you the most valuable and up-to-date information, fostering an environment of learning, networking, and growth. These conversations will not just be a one-time presentation. The conversations will be transcribed and published in the bi-monthly issues of the Bellwether magazine, a lifestyle and financial magazine for entrepreneurs. If you feel you may be a good fit to be a guest, please apply through our guest speaker application in the link we will provide upon completion of each episode. Our series is going to highlight the Financial Canvas with Boris Blum, discussing financial insights and navigating the complexities of finance with experts who will share their knowledge on investment strategies, market trends, and financial planning. Radiant Resilience with Jessica Carwatt, discussing how to boost your business by prioritizing your health. You will discover the latest in wellness trends, mental health strategies, and lifestyle tips, and more to maintain balance in your entrepreneurial journey. Tech Horizons with Cassie Millhouse, stay ahead of the latest technology trends with discussions on emerging technologies, digital transformation, and innovative business solutions. The Marketing Maverick with Fritz Collinet, where you will learn from the best in advertising and marketing as they reveal secrets to effective branding, digital marketing strategies, customer engagement, and much more. This is more than just a forum. It's a community that can be joined on LinkedIn where ideas flourish and connections are made. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, our speaker series is the perfect platform to enhance your knowledge, expand your network, and inspire your entrepreneurial spirit. Join us every Thursday on Zoom, where a link will be provided for each series upon your registration. You can secure your spot and be a part of this exciting journey of learning and growth. We look forward to welcoming you to the speaker series. Let's embark on this journey of exploration and discovery together. Stay tuned until the end for a very special announcement. So we're excited to present today's host, Boris Blum, a renowned serial entrepreneur and esteemed CEO consigliere. So how did you get this title, Boris?
Well, thank you for asking me. It was interesting as I speak to clients often, and I ask them for feedback because I always want to get better at serving them and how I can add value. And one time I had a client refer to me, well, it says, look, I don't know how to actually describe what it is that you do for me. When people ask me, I just refer you in and say that this is my number one best sort of advisor, my highest esteemed advisor in my life. And I said, really? Well, wouldn't you have like a title that, or how would you introduce me? It doesn't make sense what you're saying. And he says, well, I just tell him you're my consigliere. I'm like, oh, really? I'm your consigliere. What does that mean? And he went off and says, well, he was a big fan of the Godfather movies and all that. And he said, you're like Tom Hayden in the movie. You're just my number one most trusted advisor. And that is exactly why, I call you my consigliere. And I said, oh, that's wonderful. It sounds like I'm the CEO consigliere now.
Yeah,
And that's
that's
how the
good.
title stuck. So,
well, that's good. That's good to know a little insight into that. Now, I know you have over 20 years of experience as a business strategist and counselor and have coached ultra high net worth people. So how did this come about?
Well, I always had this affinity for finance and business. I was a serial entrepreneur since probably I was, before a teenager. I always had some kind of entrepreneurial venture going. And I had an interest in how businesses grew and scaled. And I wanted to figure out how I could be a part of that. And I became a financial advisor like many other people, took that traditional route. And I realized early on that most of the clients that I was serving, at least the most successful ones, they had ventured into other areas beyond just traditional business. Many of them had real estate, they had other investments. And I wanted to go where the money was, in essence. And the money was really not in their stocks and bonds and investments. It was all of these other interests, which I had as well around business. And so I started working down the road of becoming focused on ultra high net worth clients and the needs that they had, as opposed to, what we'll call more modest clients. And that's the direction I took. Became an expert in that space. Worked with some really very talented individuals who had built sizable businesses. And over the years, they became my not only good clients, but friends.
Good, good. So your expertise as a turnaround expert further solidifies you as an authority in navigating the intricate pathways of business and finance. But what is a turnaround expert and what caused this transition for you?
Oh, that's a great question. So I had been in the financial services space for over 10 years. I had done really well for myself in terms of personal satisfaction and financial results and all of that. But I had gotten very tired of the industry. The industry was all focused about selling products and not solving problems for clients. And I, by nature, am a problem solver. I really didn't want to be a part of that industry any longer. It was becoming very frustrating to me. And this happened to happen right around the time of the great financial correction, as we'll call it, back in 2008-9. And so I saw an opportunity to make a transition out of that space. And one of my really wealthy clients came to me and asked me if I wanted to be the CEO of his family office, which I decided to do. Did that for a little while and realized that that was not my calling. I had made a bad decision. I did not want to be the wet nurse to adult children that weren't mine. And I wanted to do something else in life. And I was searching for a path, and a friend of mine introduced me to turnaround consulting. Basically, he was involved, as you can imagine, 2010, many clients, especially companies, were failing in the midst of the great financial correction. And I was positioned as a turnaround expert to come in and help them solve those issues. And I absolutely fell in love with that work. I thought it was very interesting, challenging, and I was able to guide these CEOs from the brink of basically bankruptcy into having a flourishing organization and business again. So that was my focus, and I kept doing it all the way till about 2017, 2018, where things started to slow down as things had normalized. But it was a phenomenal experience for me.
Good. So today's conversation is going to reveal what you want to discuss about the 3 financial archetypes on the path to generational wealth. So can you begin by introducing us to the 3 financial archetypes, the taker, the trader, and the giver, and the significance of each in a person's financial journey?
Sure. I think finances for everybody are the core thing that they're focused on their day-to-day from a professional perspective. They're all trying to get ahead in life. And I think the challenge here is most people have a mindset and a perspective that gets in the way of them making progress. And so the 3 archetypes that you're talking about, that we'll start with the taker. The taker generally is an individual that has not figured out how to maintain financial security in their life. Oftentimes they get to places where there's more month at the end of the money. They're struggling to cover their overhead and their bills. Their cash flow is non-consistent. And they tend to feel like, every time they take 2 steps forward, they take 1 step back. And nothing seems to be moving for them from a financial perspective. And the archetype of a taker is really rooted in a mindset problem. It's their perspective on they lack agency. They lack the ability to make appropriate choices to get out of their circumstance. And so until a taker changes that perspective, they're unlikely to make real progress. And I think the majority of people that we bump into, even those that seemingly on the outside look like they're in the middle class, are really not in the middle class. They're really in this taker mode, and that's where they're struggling month to month. The trader is really the archetype that I focus on most. And these are the individuals that have figured out what we would say their dimes. They figured out how to make a living, and they have a professional pursuit that they're involved in. They have significant enough cash flow to cover their needs, but they haven't reached a place in life where they've got full independence, where they feel like no matter what happens in life, they're going to be okay financially, and that they have multiple streams of income to support their family and their needs. And so the taker is where I focus a lot, because I think that people who have the mindset of the taker, they obviously have a growth mindset. They feel like they're in control of their lives and making progress. But there's a huge leap to go from a taker to what we'll consider a giver, somebody that is really focused on generational wealth. And the perspective is quite different. And I find that the biggest challenge for people that are traders is that these traders will try to make the leap to generational wealth prematurely. They think it's doing more of the same, when it's really doing completely different actions that make all the difference. And then, givers have a completely different perspective. Their perspective is not about themselves or generating income or even accumulating more assets. They're more interested in return of their capital instead of return on their capital. And they're focused on multi-generations and how they can maintain their wealth within their family. So.
Okay. Well, can you elaborate on the mindset of a taker, particularly focusing on their fixed mindset on how it limits their financial growth?
Well, it limits them in every aspect of their life, because unfortunately they're thinking about, that time is more important, or I should say money is more important than their time. And so they generally are focused on activities that are bringing in the dollars and not thinking about anything for the future. They're certainly not investing in any particular way. They have no investable capital left over. And for the most part, they're thinking about, how do I increase my level of income, without understanding that they need to accumulate assets if they're going to really make progress in their life and maintain some level of financial security. And that's part of why they're insecure financially, is because they have this mindset that they don't have control over, all these areas of their life. Usually somebody is dictating when they work, where they work, what they do, how much their income is, and it's always somebody else's fault, not their own. So they lack a sense of responsibility for controlling their financial future.
Mm-hmm. So how does a taker typically perceive the value of their time, effort, and attention? And what are the implications of this on their financial security?
Often they don't really value their time at all. In fact, you'll find takers wasting time on distractions. Most of the time, they're on social media, they're involved in things that don't lead to any kind of fulfilling progress in their life. And they succumb easily to the pressures of life. Life is not easy for most people. There are always distractions, both inside your family and outside. And unfortunately, these takers succumb to that, and they rarely are able to say no to all the things that are getting in their way. So it's a completely different mindset than what a trader does on their day-to-day experience of life.
So what are the key financial challenges that a taker faces due to their limited value creation and their short-term focus?
Well, unfortunately, they don't have any excess capital. Generally, that excess capital is difficult to come by for them. And if it does show up, they make really poor decisions, like, they go buy that new big screen TV or whatever it is that drives them to do it. So they're challenged in making significant progress because they never develop the habits and the skills that are necessary to make prudent financial decisions. So takers are kind of in a rut. They feel like they're stuck in life. And oftentimes they feel that way because they think that it's somebody else's issue. I'm unfortunate I was born without a silver spoon in my mouth. It's unfortunate that I have a career or a job that doesn't provide me the kind of income I would like to have for my family. So it's always an external focus, which is really the problem. It's a mindset issue. And once they get over that mindset issue, they're often able to make progress, start making better decisions, which leads them obviously to building a financial nest egg and making progress in that way.
Mm-hmm. So now, what are the necessary steps or mindset shifts that are required to someone to move from being a taker to embracing the trader archetype?
Well, I think the biggest challenge for them is simply changing their circle of friends, family, and people that they surround themselves with. They often take advice from very poor people that have, and I don't mean poor just financially, but poor mindset, that are making them make similar decisions. Misery loves company. And so unfortunately, that is what holds them back, is they can't change their circle of influence and the people that they're surrounded by. And that stops them from making progress. Once they get the mindset change and they understand that they do actually have control and agency in their life, and they're able to generate a consistent income and start building a pool of assets and get to stability by increasing the value that they deliver to the world through their professional pursuits, they often flourish pretty quickly. But it's literally their mindset that's the issue.
So can you describe that growth of the mindset of a trader and how it differs fundamentally from that of a taker?
Sure. Well, I think that the key for a trader is they come to the realization that trading time for dollars is a limited capacity for their personal and financial growth. That they have to figure out a way that they can start to generate income through acquisition of assets. So they're looking to acquire, whether it's financial assets, business assets, other assets that might generate not only their income and support their lifestyle, but they understand that they need to have a diversification of these income streams if they're going to have stability in their life. There are ups and downs in the financial world and business all the time. And we're all subjected to that. So if all your income comes from one place, you don't really have financial security or independence for that matter. So oftentimes they recognize the fact that they need to make these types of changes, and they actually put time and effort into building not only multiple streams of income, but assets that could be very valuable into the future.
So what way do these traders strategically use their time, their attention, and their effort different than those takers?
That is a great question. And I think the fundamental thing that they do is they invest in themselves. They don't just invest in financial assets or business assets. They invest their time and effort and energy into improving their own capacity. They are usually, lifelong learners. They spend a lot of time, they listen to podcasts, they read books, they try to find outlets for information that can be valuable in helping them progress their life. That is the one asset that nobody can take away from you, is your skills and abilities. And it's the one asset that nobody can stop you from acquiring and improving on a consistent basis. And what you find with people that are true traders is they figured out what they need to do, and now they devote a specific amount of time, whatever that might be in their calendar, to working on themselves, working on the initiatives that are going to, give them progress going forward.
Good. So how do traders leverage their resources and time to aspire for financial independence?
Well, besides the improvement of their own mindset and their skills, they generally need to acquire assets. Whatever they do professionally may generate a sufficient income to support their family and their lifestyle. But they recognize that that is a fleeting situation. It's not going to last forever. And there may be ups and downs in that journey. So what they need to do is build assets outside of that. Now, some of them may use financial assets and investments as a path to doing that. Others choose to do entrepreneurship as a way to doing that. I think there are benefits and challenges to each. I think that depending on an individual's background and skill set will, better determine which path they should choose. But you can use both or either path to get to financial independence. The key is that you shouldn't have to, true independence is when you have 3 non-correlated income streams that are not dependent on your time and effort and skills for day to day. That's true independence, in my view.
Yeah. So what triggers or developments typically indicate that a trader is ready to make that transition into a giver archetype?
I think it's where I just left off, is once they've determined that, hey, I have not only sufficient enough assets for the rest of my life, I'm secure enough that these assets generate sufficient income for the lifestyle needs of my family and myself for the rest of my life. And they're non-correlated. They're not tied to one business. You could have a very successful business that generates significant cash flow, and that can go away overnight. So that to me is not financial independence, but having 3 non-correlated income streams that are generated without my day-to-day activity is the key to becoming, I think, a giver. That's where you can say to yourself, okay, I'm good, my family's good. What do I really want to leave behind as a legacy? What are the things that are important to me? And what are the things I want to teach others and impact the world with now that I've achieved this level of success? And until you're there, I think it's very hard to make that leap. It's a completely different mental paradigm.
So can you explain that impact focused mindset of the giver and how it guides their financial decisions?
So a giver thinks in the context of impact before income. They're really not interested in generating more income. In fact, it's counterproductive for them. They're really interested in the whole concept of how do I acquire more assets that I can leverage to create impact in the world. They view that as a means to an end. I think the other thing that is most important about a giver is they're extremely focused on what the value of their time is. They value their time, focus, and attention much, much differently than somebody that is trying to reach financial independence. And it's almost to an extreme. Like if you've met billionaires and you've spent any time with them, you will find out that anything that they're able to kind of not make decisions around in their life, like, day-to-day activities, like what they're going to have as a meal or what they wear, those become inconsequential and nuances that they don't want to deal with in life. What they really want to deal with is impactful decisions, and they take their time very seriously. So if they're going to have a meeting with somebody, that meeting is not ever wasted. That meeting is an opportunity to create value. They value their time significantly. They don't take meetings just for the sake of taking a meeting. They don't have that luxury in their mind. And they only engage with people that they think that there is a mutual value creation that's happening. And that impact is going to be significant from that time investment.
So how does a giver's expansive vision and focus over time contribute to their success in creating generational wealth?
Well, oftentimes, if they're truly in a giver state, they already have generational wealth. They've accomplished the financial metrics around that. What they're most interested in, as I mentioned earlier, is return of their money, not return of money. They're not, they all want to make more money, don't get me wrong, and they do very well as it is. But they're more interested in perpetuating the values, the ideals, and the skills that they've learned in life to the next generation and beyond. They want to create financial not only security, but financial independence for generations to come. And they want to perpetuate their legacy. Those are the things that are important to them. And it's a completely different perspective on the world than maybe a trader would have.
Mhm. So how do givers determine their value hour, especially in the context of implementing their expansive vision?
That is a great question. And I came up this concept of a value hour because I think most people think if you ask them, what is your time worth? They think about, well, I make X per year. If I divide that by how many hours I work in a year, that's what my time is worth. And I think that is a very limited way of looking at the world. And certainly not a way that a giver looks at the world. I think that their perspective on value hour has to do with what opportunities that they are going to give up by investing their time and efforts into something. So the example might be you have a great investment option and you want to propose it to this giver, and you're so focused about what the rate of return and how wonderful an investment this might be and how this is going to be great for all the different stakeholders and great for society and all of that. The thing that's probably most important to that individual is, will this investment of time and money reach a bigger purpose for them? Will they be able to, create value in such a significant way, an exponential way, that it will reach their personal goals and objectives? If you can make that connection for them, then it's a good investment of their time and efforts. But if the metric isn't there, and they view that their opportunity cost of investing time and effort with you is way greater than what they can receive, they're out. They're out instantly. They mentally just check out from the conversation because it's not interesting to them anymore. One thing to recognize is that givers that have generational wealth, they have a very clear picture of what it is that they're trying to accomplish in life. It's well beyond just having a purpose. A lot of people that are traders, they have a clear purpose and a vision for what they're doing. They have plans and goals and objectives they're focused on. All of that is great. But a giver has a bigger overarching transformation that they're trying to create within their life. They're trying to leave behind a lasting impact and a legacy. And so those are the things that are interesting to them. And until they can make the connection of what it is they're investing their time and effort into, they'd rather spend their time with their family and things they enjoy than spend that time on professional pursuits that won't lead to that level of satisfaction, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. So what is the role of collaboration and leadership in a giver's strategy to achieve a long-term impact?
Well, givers are all about collaboration. In fact, they generally got to their place in life because they've learned that collaboration is really the key to, not only financial success, but success in many other areas of your life. So collaboration is definitely key for them. I think the challenge is how you collaborate that's different when it's a giver versus a trader. Traders haven't yet often figured out what collaboration is about. So let me give you an example of this. Traders think about collaboration in the context of what's in it for them. It's like, okay, there's a financial result or there's a outcome that's going to be useful to me from this collaboration, so I'm willing to engage in it. But it's more about themselves. And they create a sense of buy-in to, yes, this is something I want to engage in. So they convince themselves that this is something that's valuable. That is a very different mindset than a giver. A giver looks at collaboration and they think about, well, how does 1 + 1 = 11? Like, how do we take this collaboration and take the investment of time, effort, and energy into this collaboration to turn it into something magical, something different, something that will give them not only personal, but financial and other outcomes that they're seeking in life. And that is quite different. And when you look at collaboration from that perspective, you make different choices about who you're willing to collaborate with. That is really important. You will find that they are very selective. Givers are very selective about who they will collaborate with. They don't have they don't have the patience to go through getting to know people and trying to understand their perspective and how that matches to them. They have a very clear vision. They know what they're trying to accomplish in life. If you show up and you're a part of that vision and that makes sense to them, they're more than happy to engage, and they want to collaborate with people that have that same vision. So that's been what I found that's important around collaboration.
So how can individuals balance the characteristics of the taker, the trader, and giver within themselves for a holistic financial journey?
Well, I think the most important thing is to recognize where you're at, and be honest with yourself. This is not about other people. It's about your financial journey. If you are right now a taker, that's not a permanent state in life. It may not be where you want to be, but you have to accept the fact that this is where you are, and you have to take very specific measures to get yourself into a different place. And usually that revolves around mindset and focus of energy, and focus of time and effort. That will change greatly their outcomes. But when you get into the concept of a trader now has to really think about their journey in a very different way, because most people probably fit into the trader process. They're on a journey for financial independence, and hopefully they've accomplished the financial security piece enough that they don't ever think back. They're not taking steps back beyond where they're at today. They're always making progress. So the growth mindset is just a given part of their life. So for them, it's not about the mindset as much. It's about using the appropriate tools. And the problem I find with traders is they oftentimes are trying to go faster than they can. It's a lack of recognition about not where they want to go, but how they want to get there. And they take on more than they can. They don't recognize the limitations that they have. They don't effectively manage their resources. And that becomes an impediment. So they start making progress, but they're not really feeling like they're making consistent progress over time. And it's a kind of a rocky road in essence. But eventually, if somebody figures out what that process needs to look like, and what that journey is for themselves, they get hyper-focused. They get hyper-focused on the acquisition of the right assets. They get hyper-focused on where they put their time and effort and who they collaborate with. And things start to kind of gel. And now they're at a place in life where they feel like not only financially they're headed in the right place, but that their whole life has kind of come together, and they're really living life well. And this is where they start to stub their toe, because they start to say, well, I've truly made it. I have financial independence. And they start to make mistakes around increasing their lifestyle, buying new cars and homes and other things, creating new obligations, and they lose track of what it is they're trying to accomplish. And so for some people, they never get out of that. They live their whole life and continue to be a trader. And that's why I called it a trader. You're trading time for dollars all the time. And at some point you get some assets, but those assets come and go, and there's no sustainability to it. So I think a trader is all about sustainability and consistency, so that they can get to true generational wealth. Once they've achieved real financial independence, the interests that they have change, their perspectives change, and they start to look at the world. Like if you've met really wealthy people, you'll notice that they're a lot more down to earth and humble and easygoing than you would ever expect. When they show up with fancy cars and fancy clothes and all of those things, that is much more of an indicator of a trader than it is a giver. They've not ascended yet to a place in life where material things are not as important to them. It's the experiences and the people and the collaborations and the focus of where they're headed that makes all the difference for them.
Mhm. So lastly, Boris, what key insights or advice would you offer to individuals at different stages of their financial journey based on the archetypes of taker, trader, and the giver?
I think for the taker, the first thing that they have to recognize is they actually do have agency in the situation. They have to take responsibility for where they're at in life. And it is the decisions and choices that they've made that have led them there. And they can change those decisions and choices. And by really focusing on improving their value creation, their ability to impact people professionally, usually that's where it needs to begin, they can improve their skills. So even if it's a young person that might not have lots of education, lots of skills, those things can easily be improved, and they can get to a place where they're increasing their income to such a point where they have an excess cash flow. Now, the problem with takers is their mindset, as I said. And so what they often do is they start to raise their level of income their level of outflow prematurely. So there's a famous friend of mine who's a billionaire named Rick Rule, and he has a saying. He says, when your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep becomes your downfall. And I really love that. And I think that this is part of the problem, is that they focus on the wrong thing. They say, oh, okay, so I'm making more income. I'm more valuable in the world now. So I'm progressing. I should be experiencing a better lifestyle. And they start increasing their outgo significantly. And what that does is it creates a burden on them. And so if you think about, burdens that we all have, and I don't mean this in a negative sense, but, having children, having family members that you're responsible for, whether it's spouse or parents, or those are all additional burdens. Now, if you're in a place in life where those things financially are not a burden, that's great. But for a taker, that's not the case. And they become like a ball and chain that are holding these people back. So what I tell people is, before you add more burdens to your life, make sure that you truly are on the path where you can get to this place of financial security. And financial security means that not only you can cover your overhead every month and your bills are covered, that is table stakes in my mind, okay? You have to be able to pay yourself first. You have to be able to accomplish, a significant savings amount every single month to be put away towards acquisition of assets, whether they're business assets, financial assets, human and capital assets for yourself and your skills. That is really the trick. And if you can't put away 20, 30% of your income every month after taxes, after expenses, you're nowhere near financial security. You're just not in a place where you're able to make that kind of progress. And that's what they need to focus on and strive for, and not increase their overheads prematurely. Mm-hmm. With regards to a trader, a trader has effectively figured out that they have not only the control, but they figured out how to monetize their time and effort. And whether that is through the pursuit of a business that they're involved in, or a career focus, whatever that might be. And that is a great place to be, because they do have that financial security. And so they're able to, at some point, increase their lifestyle needs, and live a comfortable life. And that is part of the problem, because they get into a place where they are comfortable. And people like being comfortable. Nobody wants a cold shower, but a cold shower can be really helpful to wake you up in the morning. So my suggestion for people that are traders is don't get comfortable. Okay. And when I mean comfortable, I mean in every aspect of your life. You need to embrace the fact that life is a journey and it is not always smooth. There are going to be ups and downs, and you need to be uncomfortable with being uncomfortable, or comfortable with being uncomfortable, as they say. So I think that that is an important lesson for traders. And then once they figure that out, and they've figured out that they're in the acquisition of assets game, that is really their focus. They need to start being much more strategic about what types of assets are important to them. So the example I will give is somebody figures out that they have a valuable business. They start succeeding at their business. They think, okay, I'm going to open up more locations. Now they're on a track and they got 3 or 4 locations. But are they really on a track that is going to be sustainable for the long term? It's great that the business is doing well and they're doing well, but that is only one asset. Now, you for a time may need to go all in, right? Because if the business is working out and things are scaling, you want to continue to do that. But you have to take, as they say in gambling, some chips off the table. Over time, you have to start to redivert some of that progress you're making into other assets. Most people, what they do is they put those assets into things like real estate or something that they feel comfortable with. And that's not bad. That's not a bad way to go. But again, if you over concentrate everything into 1 or 2 asset classes, that can not be a sustainable thing over the long term. So the more diversified the asset pool is, and it's not just about assets that are generating income. Some assets are purely speculative in somebody's portfolio. You know, if somebody tells me, yeah, I'm invested heavily in crypto, I would be very cautious about taking advice for an individual like that. Not that I'm against crypto. I think crypto is phenomenal. I think AI is phenomenal, but I think that is a speculative approach to the world. And you wouldn't put the bulk of your money into something that is speculative. So they have a often a poor understanding of what true asset allocation is about. And they're taking most of their direction from financial folks that have a bias, you know, whether that be a financial insurance advisor, a CPA, or an attorney. Generally, most people that they're engaged with have a bias. And so they have a difficult time in making, you know, really appropriate long-term financial decisions. And I think that traders who spend their time on figuring out what it is that their portfolio of assets needs to look like, and how does that, what is the risk that they're taking on with that portfolio, I think that becomes the key to them transitioning to generational wealth. They finally get to a place in life where they truly find security and independence, because they can pretty much afford whatever they want. Their lifestyle needs are well below anything that they could need, or their children, or maybe even their grandchildren. So at that point, they're thinking about assets from a different perspective, not from a return on investment, but return of investment viewpoint.
Well, thank you, Boris. You've definitely opened us up to what the different archetypes are, give us a good understanding of it. And I'm looking forward to what the future brings for your being a host and bringing in guests and getting to know the guests and what their expertise is in the financial field. And thank you for being the debut host for our speakers series. You were the very first one thrown under the gun right away. So it was great speaking with you, getting to know you a little better before we take on the rest of the series, the rest of the year. Every Thursday, first Thursday of the month will be allotted to you. So that's
well,
something
I
that
appreciate the opportunity. I will tell you, I am really passionate about helping people achieve financial independence and making that leap into generational wealth. I really believe that everybody deserves to have that in life. But we don't always get what we deserve. And that's because we don't put in the time and effort. It takes a lot of work. So I am very passionate about helping people do that. And I truly believe that entrepreneurship is the way that we can solve most of society's problems today. And by golly, do we have a lot of them in the world today to solve. So my passion is anybody that's an entrepreneur that's on this financial journey. Those are people I love to spend time with. So this is a great opportunity for me to do that.
Well, good. We're looking forward to it.